we have to have fun and laughter in this season in our life. I want to welcome everyone on this Shabbat to the King's Table. I am your host, Big Truck, coming from a place somewhere in the universe. I have my guest, second time, Ken Spade. And on this day, Ken, we look at life differently, but we also have to enjoy life. Rest in peace to our falling hero, one of hip hop's greatest, Biz Markie. Much love and respect for the things that he's done in hip hop. Not only in hip hop, but off the stage as well. And it's just a terrible loss. But we in that time where if we're not living and enjoy life, how easily it can be taken from us. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how big you are, how tall you are, how short you are. At the end of the day, you have to make history that leaves a legacy. And Biz Markie left a legacy. I've gotten several emails from people, and much love and respect to them, regarding the King's Table, saying that they enjoy it so far, and it's a growing platform. And what I have to talk about, it's something that is realistic. What I want to expound and talk about today is looking at life from a different lens. Ken, how do you look at life from your lens, on your experience? Because it's these experiences that we have, that we share, that others can take notes, others can relate, whether if it's everyday life, relationships, friendships. I mean, expound on that, King, as I sip my ginger tea.
And as you sip your, can you hear me first of all?
I can hear you, King.
Okay. We friends, so do me a favor. So that way people can hear both of us loud and clear. Just simmer the volume on the jazz just a little bit. There you go.
I'm doing that right now.
So repeat your question one more time. That way I'll know the best way to answer.
In life, from your lens, what experiences do you have to share with the kings and queens out there in the universe?
Well, the main thing is that life is never perfect, and life will inevitably throw you some curveballs that you may not see coming, because we're all supposed to experience life. We're all here to learn, and we're all here to make our errors, and and eventually learn from them. Even if we make the same mistake over and over and over again, as some of us do, as many of us do, at some point we get to a level where we may not like the results of the things that we do repetitively. If it's not serving us, then at some point in life, there has to be a shift or a change or something different to consider. So yeah, so life can definitely, from my lens, um, I see life from a more optimistic point of view these days, um, versus being pessimistic. And the more optimistic I am, the more positive things that will occur. Not that it's perfect every time, no matter how optimistic we tend to be, there will always be a um, a hurdle, a hurdle, because life is almost like a video game. You know, you have to conquer this particular thing before you get to the next level. And
Exactly. Exactly.
life is the pretty much parallel to that concept. You have to you have to be challenged, or life will challenge all of us. And
Right.
um,
Right.
and whether we're up to the challenge or not, is irrelevant, because life is going to keep moving forward whether you want it to or not, whether you see it coming or not. We have to be able to be adaptable, and be able to adapt so we can be better. We have to be able to adapt, and life will begin to be constructed very differently according to how we perceive all of our experiences, no matter what they are, the good, the bad, the ugly, um, because we're here to taste all the flavors that life has to offer. We're all here for that. And,
I agree. I
uh,
agree.
I mean, so that's how I see life, especially after, learning certain things, getting more into natural health and holistic psychology and things of that nature. It's kind of forced me to look at life very differently, and also being a father as well, which has definitely changed my tune on a lot of levels.
I could, I applaud you for that. And I know that when we one of the things you mentioned on the holistic, I I try to share with the kings and queens, and I try to share with the tribe of what it means to live a holistic healthcare lifestyle, taking better care of yourself, taking better care of your health. And I believe that, especially in the black communities, we sometimes can be stubborn, don't want to receive the truth, or don't want to look at ourselves. And there's 5 principles that I've written and I like to share. Number one is healing. Number two, taking accountability. Number three, reading between the lines. Number four, knowing self worth. And the last thing, number five, having peace of mind. We have to, if we're going to grow, we have to be willing to listen. We have to be willing to be available to receive. It's not about I know more than you or you know more than me, but we're sitting down as men and we're having a conversation over things, about things that's going to best help us in any situation. I believe in mental health. I believe in spiritual health. I believe in physical health. I believe in this day and age, we can't take those things for granted, but we have to apply those things. And if we apply those things, we apply those principles, and we live a peaceful life, not allowing outsiders, I'll use that terminology, outsiders to disrupt what we've worked hard to get, disrupt that peace, disrupt that place of where we are at. You follow me so far? Am I making
No,
sense?
no, you good. Keep going.
And if we continue to do that and we share with men, now we begin the ball rolling of inspiring men, motivating men, uplifting men, telling men where they're right at, but also where they're wrong at, without pointing fingers or judgment, but simply saying, hey, look, here's a better way of doing something. You don't have to go left when you can go right. You don't have to go left or right when you can go straight. This is how you keep your focus and not allowing things to distract you. Because right now, if you look around you, there are so many distractions that's keeping us from where we need to be, operating on that frequency, operating on that level. Expound on that for me. Share. I want to hear your ideas.
Well, everything in life is about being better. Um, you mentioned healing, accountability, reading between the lines, peace of mind, and all those are great um, attributes, I guess, for lack of another term. Um, all of these have to be developed over time as we maneuver through life and learn how to interact and socialize with people as men, because this is this is a show uh, for men, so we can be better as the complement to the feminine. And if we want to be better complements to the feminine, we do have to hold ourselves accountable.
Exactly.
We do have to hold ourselves accountable. We'll be better respected when we hold ourselves accountable for all of our actions. We will be a better complement to the woman that we choose to um, um, participate in a relationship with. And also, we do have to know our self-worth. The more we know our self-worth, uh, the better, the better complement or the better complementary figure we will have in the feminine. Because once you know yourself, the person that comes into your life will typically know themselves as well. Because again, frequencies have to parallel in order for
Exactly.
there to be some form of harmony. So, and then when you have harmony, you have peace of mind, which goes with this list that you just gave of the five pieces of this puzzle that we call life. And once we put the pieces together, and again, everything functions in harmony, um, everything just kind of flows better, and relationships tend to be more successful when when all of these points that you made are are intact, or at
I
least
believe,
considered.
yeah, I believe throughout my experiences, and what I've experienced, 2019, 2020, reflecting, looking back at how much that I've grown from 2019, 2020 to now. It's almost like, what happened? I couldn't believe, you couldn't believe that I've experienced that. But here's the thing, through my time in the wilderness, because that's what I call it, time in the wilderness, in in your walk alone, because sometimes you have to walk alone, and at times Yeshua deals with you alone. And through that, I've even learned, I found out my strengths, my weaknesses, how to trust, how to look at myself and humble myself and be to serve and to be of service, and knowing who I am and whose I am and to walk in the essence of that. And within doing so, I have so much to bring to the table that I probably didn't have much to bring to the table before. But now, knowing what I know now, resting in that word, walking in my anointing, this is who I am and what I have to bring to the table. And when I bring that to the table, then on the on the back end, most high, or I will meet that one, and she will have something to bring to the table. Because one of the things that I've said, and let me go back in my notes, because I said this on a previous show, and it really did make sense, you know. But I said, what did I say here? Because it was, your boy be speaking some truths, and you know, I said, if a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing. But if a woman, and I repeat, if a woman finds a good man, she has found a very good thing in him. Two good people will find each other. They don't fall in love, they grow. You want to grow in love. Two good people will find each other, and it's not being talked about. It's not being shared. If a man is willing to bring something to the table other than his body, you got something. If a woman is willing to bring something to the table other than her body, you have something. Because at the end of the day, it's 50-50. And if you can't do 50-50, let me know how that worked for you. And you wonder why you hit a brick wall when it comes to your love life. Sometimes in life, even when it comes to dating, and it's changed so much. There was a a show. Big ups to O'Shea Du Jackson, by the way. He in one of his shows he had a post, and there was a woman. She's married, but she was sharing from her point of view. If you a woman, this is what you should bring to the table. Can you bring love, peace to the table? If we have a storm, can that man count on you to have his back? If he lost his job and he has to sit down, but in the process he's looking for work, can you have his back? You willing to grow? What do you have to bring to the table as a woman for that man to make things easier on him? When I heard that sister speak and say that, I was like, because that's the truth. That is the truth. Oh, I'm entitled. What are you entitled to? Yes. What is it that you feel that you are entitled to? It goes both ways.
It does go both ways. We live in a social media era where um, where we see predominantly women feeling like they they are or they will be privileged to have things handed to them because of their physical makeup only. Um, but what else is there outside of that? What else is being brought to the table um, outside of you having the hourglass figure or the long hair or uh, whatever the case is? What else is there? Um, once you come off of Instagram, being that Instagram model, what else do you have to bring to the table? What substance are you bringing? What intelligence? We're always told that we have to have a job, we have to have this, we have to have that, we have to have a certain income to bring to the table. Um, we have to have maybe this degree or that degree. Um, we always have to bring this to the table. Like you said, uh, if we lose that job, then what? Are you still gonna be there, or are you there just because I did have a job? Um, I mean, and these are petty things that are so kind of superficial. But again, we live in a superficial society where everything is about what's on the surface first, and everything else is secondary or at the bottom of the totem pole. We learn all these other things about people way down the road without seeing potential red flags in the beginning. Again, as you said earlier, we have to hold ourselves accountable and be aware. As men, we do have to be aware of our weaknesses, um, because if not, you're going to have disaster going into a relationship. If you don't know what your weaknesses are, we always know our strengths. We always want to capitalize on our strengths, but we never tend to even consider what our weaknesses are. And then they tend to show up in the relationship when something goes wrong. So we always have to know what our weaknesses are and concentrate on making our weaknesses better, or making our weaknesses a great strength, even better than the strengths that we already had before. So, and that will make for, again, that will make for a better um, relationship moving forward. And if the woman that you're bringing into your sphere, um, if they're not the correct complement for that, then you move forward until you do find the right complement, because there's always someone that will match whatever your frequency is at this particular stage in your life. You know,
I received that. I received that.
yeah,
You know, I received that. And when when it does come up, and I'm hearing different men's perspective, different women's perspective, and then they say, "Truck, what do you think?" Well, my thing is this here. You can do. We all have flaws. Get that out the gate. You can do good things for the wrong person, and that goes both ways.
right.
Number one. Number two, don't ask for something that you're not ready for nor can handle.
Be
Three.
careful what you wish for.
Number three, what one person won't do, someone else will. All is fair in love and war.
Yeah.
If you give one person an opportunity and they don't take advantage of that opportunity, someone else does, there ain't nothing you can say.
Yeah.
You know, they don't make good people like they used to. They make them bar none. I remember back in the days when relationships were fun. We'd make sandwiches and chips and soda, and we'd go have a picnic. And we enjoy good, fruitful conversation. And it don't matter what we did or where we went, long as we were together enjoying each other's company, presence. It was the little things that made difference that mattered. When you look at this generation here that we see with men and women in relationships, I'm sitting there scratching my head like, you making the simplest thing so difficult when there's no need to. Well, he's a man, he should come talk to me. Well, by that attitude, you see why he ain't talking to you. You can get you go there, you can deal with the Pookie and the Ray Rays. And for the men, you can go deal with the Makitas and the Shaquitas. But when you have a good man or a good woman, you got to treat them differently because they all different. And if you've never had a good person, whether it be a man or a woman, sit back, relax, and let yourself go. That's the best way, the best advice to give to someone to appreciate. Okay, I never had a good person before. Let me receive it. Let me at least say thank you. Let me do my part. What is it that I can do to make your life easier so that I can be an asset and not a liability? And when we get to that point of that, now we on that plane there. But you got to know who you are and you got to know what you need. I share with women, I can care less about what you want, what you need. I can care less about your figure. What's your heart like? What's your dome like? Those are the things that I'm attracted to. Physical does play a part, but it's not the only thing. Are you nice? Are you hardworking? Are you lovable? You know how to cook? Can you keep a man? Are you willing to grow in love with the man? These are simple questions that most have never had come their way. And it's understandable because you're learning. We all learning. But just like the coach always says, I can take a person with no talent, but if they're coachable, I could train them to be the best athlete.
Oh, of course. All of us have to be all of us have to be teachable and open to new suggestions and new uh, perspectives from other people. I think the one of the greatest one of the greatest pitfalls for relationships from the woman's side is, and I'm just speaking generally, um, for decades we've heard this saying that there are no good men around. You've heard that before. And we hear
Yes.
that from women of all cultures. You know, there are no good men. Um, the more that notion keeps being thrown out into the atmosphere, that's exactly what's going to happen. You know, the more you keep
Mm-hmm.
telling the universe that there are no good men, those are the type of men that are going to come your way. And then you know, they keep wondering why these same jerks keep coming into my life, why I keep attracting these type of men. um, you know, for the woman that wants a specific type of man, the first thing they have to do is define it, or define that
Mm-hmm.
man, the kind of man that will complement you. And men can do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, we all can speak our words, and you know that vibration can go out into the atmosphere, and some person out there um, will heed that calling. First, the first thing we have to do as men as is to define ourselves first, and define who we are as men, and what are we bringing to the table for that woman to bring herself forth. What are we bringing to the table? We want women to be this and that and the other. We want them to have the figure. We want them to be able to cook and all those things, which are great.
Hmm.
Um, but what are we bringing to the table to complement that? So women in general will bring that notion to a halt that there is no good men out there. All the good men are taken. There's no good men out there. Men are dogs. You know, the name calling and all of these things. All of those things matter. And when
It's like,
when those things continue to occur, the same type of relationships will occur for the man and for the woman.
I believe I believe in the law of attraction, studying that and having you introduce that to me first and foremost. You the things that you think about, you will attract and draw to you. And what you put out there in the universe, you will attract and draw to you. You being who you, it comes down to what you think about yourself. How do you think about yourself? When you look at yourself, for example, you know, I get a couple of people that send me things here and there, and some of the stuff that I see, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram, I'm like, well, if a woman is twerking and having men and women slapping her on the behind that she's twerking, but yet that woman in I want a good man, well, will a good man want you? He sees this, you know, or if if a man is throwing up gang signs and has his pistol in his hand and says, "Where's the good women at?" Does that good will that good woman want that? So again, like you said, you have to look at you and you have to ask self questions. Yes, I want a good person. Am I a good person? Will that good person want me? And if that good person wants me, what is it that I need to do so that I can draw that that good person to me? My character. What does my character has to be in order to attract and draw that of what I'm putting out into the universe?
Right.
Because I can't speak with my mouth, but it doesn't line up with my actions. My actions show something totally different.
Right. Right. Everything has to be um, uh, whatever it is that you want. It has to be or the type of woman that we want. It has to line up with who we are, um, because whoever comes into our life will be, or whoever we decide to keep into our life will be a reflection of who we are at that particular period in life.
Totally,
And
totally.
if that person is not willing to grow with you, or doesn't have the ambition, or gets comfortable and complacent, then then it's time to reconsider, how is this relationship serving me? You know, if it's not serving me, to the highest degree, and it's definitely not serving the other person, then what are we doing? You know, life is to be enjoyed, and if and for those that would like to enjoy it with the significant other, then again we have to first we have to define who we are first, and
Exactly.
the moment we define who we are, then it'll be easier to define the type of woman that we would like to come into our life to be that ultimate complement, that one that will want to grow and make a foundation, or create a foundation, um, so there can be growth. You can't grow anything unless you have roots first. Or you can't build a building unless you put a
Mhm.
platform or a foundation down first. Um, Life or in a relationship, it's pretty much the same concept, until you create your own roots, and build them and water it and fertilize it and nurture it, and nurture your personality traits, and nurture your demeanor and your character over time. um, the the right woman will be brought forth, or will gravitate towards that, because they can see it. You know, women have a real good intuition about a whole lot of stuff, and
Yes, they do.
if you come in at them, they're gonna know if you bullshitting them or not. They're gonna know, and so if we're gonna come, we need to come correct with who we are
Mhm.
first. And again, that will
Yep.
reflect the type of woman that gravitates towards you as a man. Again, um, relationships can really be more simplistic. There'll be bumps in the road, of course. We all have disagreements and whatnot, but the successful relationship is one where there's more harmony, because both of you want more of the same things in life, versus both of you being attracted to each other physically, but what else is there after that? You know, there has to be more to bring to the table beyond the
Yes.
physical. There has to be the emotional, the spiritual, the psychological. You talked about mental health. We all have to be um, in our right mind, to bring forth the woman that's in her right mind. You know, um,
Right.
we all have to be on the same. We all have to be on the same page, and but again, the number one thing for on the woman's side is to throw out the notion that there are no good men. That language has to stop.
It's that negative. It's like positive attitude equals positive results. Negative attitude equals negative result. And then moving forward, we have to put in work. Everybody want to eat the cake, but they don't want to help bake it.
Right.
You know, we have to put in work. It takes teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. You can't expect man to do everything. You can't expect woman to do everything. But one thing I can expect is for both parties to do something.
Something.
Not everybody, not everybody is going to receive you.
No, of
Granted.
course not.
Not
Of course
everybody's going
not.
to like you. You're not going to be their type. Granted.
Right.
But you're going to be somebody's type. Somebody's going to receive you. Long as you that a lot of people struggle with rejection. Women struggle with it a little bit more than men when it comes to being rejected, because nobody wants to be rejected. But we live in a society where if you're not looking like Beyonce, he's not looking like Tyrese Gibson, If you're not looking like them, I don't want it. You're not making six figures. I've seen people that don't make six figures, but they take care of themselves damn well, and they're happy.
Right. Right.
When you get to that place where you are happy with self, now you're opening the doors. You're telling the universe, hey, I'm happy with who I am. I've embraced that. Then the universe is going to start sending you people. Next thing you know, you be at the grocery store and someone comes talk to you. Or you be at the car wash washing your car. Or you be at work. Or you be out handing your handle. You never know. But long as you know who you are and your worth, that's not only that goes for men, but that goes for women as well. You have to know your worth, and you have to know who you are and embrace that. Well, they're gonna accept me for who I am, and that's the wrong attitude. And if you're gonna have that attitude, expect for the bad stuff to happen. But if you change the way you think, never be afraid to do something different that you've never done in order to have something that you never had but always wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've learned that.
Yeah.
I've learned it. You've learned it. And because we've learned it and we've applied it, look how better our lives turned out. Because
Yeah.
that's what we chose behind a choice. All because we made a choice, we made a decision to change.
Yeah, and change is very difficult for most people because we get so complacent and we don't want to step outside of our bubble that we've been in all of our lives, which is why you get that person or that woman that will say, they have to take me as I am. Um, I'm not going to change for nobody. Okay, that's fine. But because of that, or just presenting that message with that attitude, you're going to continue to attract that same type of person. And then a year later, you're going to have that same attitude saying that I'm not going to change and they need to accept me the way that I am. And, but who are you though? Who are you? And what are you bringing to the table? And why do you feel like you have to keep bringing that message forward and then complain about your last relationship and how it went so sour and he did this and he did that? um if if any woman wants a man to accept them for who they are, which is fine, then the same has to be given back. You have to accept that man with all his flaws and all of his F ups and everything else. And if it don't go right, you can't blame anyone but yourself because you drew that in by what you put out. I'm not going to change for nobody. They need to accept me for who I am. Okay, well, who are you? And why do you keep having so much trouble in your relationships? Ask yourself that question. I mean, there may not be any good men in your world because of how you are. I mean, all of us have the potential to be good, but I mean, but who's going to come into our world to complement that goodness so we can go beyond good and we can become great together as a unit, if that's where we're trying to go. you know um Again, more of us as men have to start learning about ourselves as men. um Many boys grow up without their fathers, And so they have no earthly clue what it means to become a man, or how a lot of boys don't know how that's defined because it's never been defined for them or to them. So they have no clue. We have to learn how to become men on our own because our male influences may have not been the best. And if we're learning from the wrong type of men, or if we're influenced by men that are um, maybe not contributing the best to society, then this is how you do get the person on the street or on the corner. They have no ambitions. Um, they may be high school dropouts or whatever the case might be, low wage employment, you name it. All of
Yeah.
these factors contribute. Again, we have to, as men, we have to define who we are first. Because you can want that fine woman on Instagram all day long, but at some point she's gonna wonder too, who are you? Who are you?
I, you know, and to extend on that, I always share with people, what was your past like? What was your past like growing up? Because that has a lot to do with it as well, of how you see certain things, how certain things are being presented, behavior, one's behavior, you know, and did you get counseling for the things that you went through in your childhood past? Because if you have not received counseling, there's going to be an off some balance. There's going to be an off balance in your mental, in your emotional, in your spiritual. It's not just I rely on spiritual healing. No, counseling is needed. I get counseled a lot. I still get counseling, so it it helps us men. I get it. Kings, we deal with so much daily. We deal with so much daily.
And as men, we can't
And
be afraid to go and get counseling as well.
exactly, exactly.
As men, we have to set the macho machismo aside, and the bravado and all of these things. We have to set that aside because um, we have feelings too. And again, many of us have no earthly clue how to express those feelings because we're only
And
taught
I
how
want
to
to add
be
this.
hardcore.
Exactly. I want to add this to them and to cut you off.
Yeah.
But another thing, man, got to take care of your health. You cannot be afraid to go get help, to go get checkups.
Yeah.
See, women, they don't have no problem going to get checkups. Men, we have to go get checkups.
Yeah.
You
Or
got to step the pride aside, step the ego aside. You know, again, self health care. It's not just mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, but also emotional, mental, spiritual, but physical health as well. If you know
yeah.
something is wrong with your body, don't just brush it off. Get your help. Go get
Yeah.
yourself checked.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're afraid to get yourself checked because you're fearful that you're going to be diagnosed with something, um, self-education is wonderful as well. I mean, you can learn. The best way to learn about your own body is to do your own due diligence to learn about it. If you're aching somewhere, um, learn what it is and what could be the potential causes. Most
Mhm.
of us as men have no earthly clue how our bodies function. and then we're dumbfounded when we have prostate cancer, or we develop young teenage or adolescent boys are growing breasts now and their parents don't know the reasons why. All of these things contribute because we don't want to step outside of our comfort zone. We're taught to be macho. We're taught to be hard. We're taught to not cry. We're taught to hold everything inside because we're men. We're supposed to be on the edge and what's the word I'm looking for? Having that high threshold almost to the point of being angered all the time, being hard. You better not step on my shoes or else. All these things that go on with the male species because we're only taught one way of being men versus being taught all dynamics of being men. Um, and again, once we learn ourselves as men, we will be better equipped to be that complementary male figure to not only the woman, but also to our daughters as well.
Exactly. And that's what I say. You can't be angry all the time. You can't be angry in the morning and angry at night. You
Right.
know, I mean, so when we share these things and have these things with men, and then of course, the women, they chime in and they listen. It's like, wow, okay, I didn't know. And it's okay if you didn't know, because that's what this show is about. That's what the King's Table is about. We just shedding light on things in truth and righteousness. We're not throwing darts at no one. It's not about bashing women or bashing men, but it's simply saying, here are some issues. This is how we get to the root. Because if you get down to the root of it, it only gets better
Yeah.
versus running from yourself. There's a lot of track runners. I've never seen so many track runners nowadays. They
Yeah.
run from they run from themselves. They
Right.
run from their problems.
Yeah.
They're just running.
And the faster they
Look at,
run away from their problems, the faster those problems catch up to them.
yep.
And,
And
and
and and then and at the end of the day, it's gonna rock their snot box.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one thing we have to not be afraid of anymore is getting a second opinion, um, which is why counseling is great. Which is what I do. I do counseling. I mean, for all avenues of life, because again, we experience many different things in life, and that's the one thing that we do have in common as human beings. We all pretty much experience many of the same things.
Look
And
what you did to me.
yeah, I mean, um, counseling can help as long as the person going in for counseling is open or has an open mind and is ready
Mhm.
or willing to consider stepping outside of their comfort zone. Um,
Exactly.
because many of us are stuck in our comfort zone. We don't want to come out. We want to be complacent. We're not. We're afraid that someone's going to say something about us. We're afraid of what other people are going to think, and it brings fear, which is pretty much what it boils down to. It's fear. We're afraid to step out of our comfort zone. We're afraid to step into a new comfort zone. We're afraid to make ourselves better. We're afraid to
Hmm.
interact with new people. We're afraid to get out of this old relationship that's not doing us any good, because we're
Exactly.
afraid to do something new and improved. But the moment we make a decision to come out of that and do just a little bit different, just a little bit, you know, um, that little teeny little bit will go a long way. It can take you into the rest of your life. you know?
Exactly, exactly. With 1 minute left, if you can summarize everything in one word, for example, for me, summarize in one word, mine would be
It's kind of difficult, huh? One word.
it is, especially when you got so much going on.
Right.
Wisdom.
Okay. Wisdom, and mine would be faith. Um, because wisdom is acquired uh, through experience, and faith is acquired by having a belief in the abilities that you were given at conception. Um, Faith that only good can come about, even in the so-called bad times. There's always there's always something good. Everything good comes through something that happened bad first, you know. And it's a learning process.
Exactly.
Life is the ultimate learning curve, and you can maneuver through life a lot easier when you know yourself. When you know yourself, and that's why I
Yes.
do the counseling that I do, and platforms like this um, also help because this is therapeutic as well. This is therapeutic, and so as your audience grows, men and women will understand that this can be a part of their therapy when they're ready to open themselves up to receive it.
Exactly. Well, that concludes today's episode here on the King's Table with my special guest, friend and brother, Ken Spade Mason. And I am your host, Big Truck, and this is the King's Table. I'm signing out. Shalom.